And we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back from New Year. Welcome back to reality for those of you who've had perhaps a small vacation. Hope you spent it with your loved ones. Me and Casper, we definitely have. So, yes, Frederick Drost here from Precis Digital. We've got my co host Casper from Precis Digital as well. And yeah, Happy New Year to everyone watching this video. So, a lot of news, I suppose, but also we took a break. So last time I uploaded a video, I think was end or even mid-December, I think just before Christmas. So there's been a little break here, but I've been gathering all the good stuff. Tried to avoid there's been a lot of these looking back, all these things, although there is one in here. So I'm going to try and keep that out of the way and just dive right into it. And the first thing here is actually from December, the core update is done rolling out. So it started, I can't even remember. It was done the 18th of December. And here is a link, a really interesting link with some chatter, and people were seeing a lot of volatility actually. But there's no definite like winners and losers, etc. And just to follow up that one with another spam update. So right after the first one, Google went, let's do another lovely little spam update. And there's no info on this specifically, or not a lot at least. But what I really think is interesting is to look at the last year is the focus on spam, right? There's been this huge focus on spam. Google has gotten a lot of criticism and from big SEOs on Twitter, including myself. And and I think they changed the head of search from to someone new. And I think there is a focus on riddling and making the SERPs better now. And I just wanted to highlight that. I think that's interesting. That huge focus on spam. It's been a huge buzzword last year.
And I think it's going to continue in 2025 as well.
Yeah, it seems like, and I think a lot of our clients will not notice this, but it seems to be very interesting in the affiliate space in the US and around the world. Is the affiliates they're being replaced. Like Forbes was delisted. They had a manual action from the Forbes advisor, which is all these weird affiliate articles, and now it was replaced with worse, like auto-generated spam domains. But Google seems to be wanting to kill affiliate. Is what I'm looking at. It's like it doesn't see the value there. But that's such a huge focus. We don't have a lot of affiliate clients or none at this point, except we could probably recommend our clients to maybe shift away from that strategy. It seems to be dying slowly. Google doesn't want it anymore. So yeah, it's something to take note of when you have clients that does have affiliate strategies. The next one here is really, I put it as important, must read, the guide to free local listings by Brodie Clark, who is awesome. You should definitely follow him on Twitter. He's one of the best in the best business. And what are free local listings, Casper? Can you help me here?
I think it's just it's really important for the local SEO in general and having a local SEO strategy when you have sort of stores where you need to get them into the stores. For instance, you need to get them down to the stores that are nearby, and using the map functions, which has also been updated from Google in regard to having products in there as well over in the US, these sort of things. So that's something that they've been focusing on a lot, these like product listings on local stores, and just getting the most important, like the most relevant link into, or the most relevant company store sort of thing, into the different SERPs for local SEO.
Yep.
I think that I think it's something that's really important when you have a store in general.
A lot of big e-commerce web shops also have stores, right? And some of those products are much easier to go and pick up. You wouldn't buy certain tools or things that are large, in size. And yeah, the Maps products is awesome. There was a feature for it replaced a SERP feature. I can't remember now. I'm coming back to work here from vacation, but it basically said is shops nearby me or in shops nearby me. So Google is trying to tell you, oh, you can actually get this in a shop. So just bridging those two things, and definitely a huge value driver for those type of shops that do have what we're talking about here. So this is really important. I know we're talking to our clients about this, and it's very important. So this is a really good guide.
And I think it's just going to be more important as well, because they've shown a clear intention of updating these like maps and these functions in there, and the general SERP features that includes local stores and local SEOs in the Google Maps and stuff. So I think it's going to be more important to just have in there.
It's
Have
going to
a
be
have a thought about it.
the hard part is the warehouse, or not warehouse, but the inventory management. Like bridge, if you have inventory management, if not, that needs to be set up and then communicated with your
Mm.
website, your feeds, etc. So the technical stuff going on there, but yeah, a little bit of everyone can participate. So yeah, take note of that, everyone. Next, we've got the only looking back at last year post or piece of news I have here, but this one is I'm quite technical and a bit nerdy on this. So Greg Bernhardt, who's also one of the top Twitter SEOs to follow, his list of Python SEO tutorials that he published last year, and we've got some evaluating subreddit posts, we've got auditing URLs for SEO, blah blah blah. There's a lot of cool stuff here. So, I'm not going to go through each of these, but this is definitely a list of, if you're into Python and automating SEO or certain tasks, there's some cool stuff here. I told him in the comments to do more this year, so let's see. But definitely he's worth a follow.
But I just want to
Yeah, of
have a
course.
quick comment here. I read through this, and you do have to have a basic knowledge of Python and coding in general to use this. I think it can be a bit overwhelming, a bit complex if you don't.
Yep.
But yeah, I think in general, I think the way that we're moving with SEO in general, I think it makes sense to look into a little bit of coding. It has been for the past as well, but I think for
Python and
future
JavaScript.
coding,
Python and
it's
JavaScript
really
is good enough. It's very good. You can get very far with those two. And
really handy
ChatGPT as
knowledge.
your friend for helping you learn. Like, explain this code to me. Oh, thank you. I think it's really, really good at that. So definitely worth looking into. But yeah, as I always say, let's get really good at SEO first and then move into the other space. Or if you're never an expert at one thing, be an expert one area and then move into others. But yeah, thanks. Good notes as well, Casper. Next up, somebody has been manipulating ChatGPT search with hidden text. So hidden text is text that is on page in your HTML rendered, whatever, and it's like the same. It could be the same background color, and so it's invisible, which is an old SEO spam technique, by the way, that Google can see right through now. It can see color differences, of course, and also I think you might be able to hide it like accordion wise or just something else. And again, Google can see this. Not sure how good Google is at seeing what's visually there in text versus just hiding it with the color trick, but I'm pretty sure it is relatively good at that. So what I think is interesting here is the task that SearchGPT and other new engines have that Google has already tackled. So this just shows that there's still a lot of things Google do well and has tackled already in the past that ChatGPT search might have a harder time with. Again, it might be using Bing, which we know it's using Bing as its main index/search engine, and then using that information with AI to kind of present it in a nice way. But still, it seems like there's a step here that can be manipulated. So I think ChatGPT search has a lot of still a lot of things to work on, and it's going to be hard to beat Google in that area. What really we need to focus on is the quality of the output, right? So yeah.
I just think it's interesting because, as you say, it uses Bing and it's using what Bing is indexing basically, and Bing shouldn't be indexing sites with hidden text, right? So there's also like something there. Is Bing not as good as Google
They did a
in
test, so they were already. So this is like you could almost trick Google for a little while. They did a test with things that were indexed, and then they just updated the pages to see what would happen. And I think what's happening is then Bing is serving something to ChatGPT, which is then it's maybe it's doing another run of this. Maybe it's recrawling that or refetching that content and then processing it, and that's where the mistake happens. So what you could do is just say, hey, if you're Bing crawler, don't show the hidden text. Anything else, like if the bot is from ChatGPT, then show it. So you can even, not to give anyone advice about this, but you could definitely game that system without Bing seeing it. So, which is why it's just interesting. They still have some issues to tackle, is what I'm saying. And people will start gaming this, and they will have to respond to it. So it's just a big task. They're taking on a big task if they want to dominate the search market. Oh yeah, great. Next up, a new way to see how many URLs the site query returns. And this is interesting. So if you do a site query, it's one of those operators in Google, site : you have your domain, and then you type something, or you can just run the domain. You can see, it's a good way of finding pages just for a given website. You could see how many was indexed, although that number is not completely true, but also the evolution is interesting, more than the actual number of index pages. You just go to Search Console for that, honestly. But they removed how many pages, and you can actually find it. So if you go, I'm going to just show for people watching this video. I know you can't see Casper, but there's an interesting, if you go to this tools, and then there's a little drop down, anytime or results, and then you can see how many results were. So that's kind of where it's placed now. So that's just a small little tip, so to speak. And this one, I know we'll talk about this one a little bit more than usual. AI crawlers cannot read JavaScript, so it seems. It's creating a blind spot for site content. So any website that's relying on serving a lot of the main initial content on the web page using JavaScript, that content might not get picked up by AI crawlers, or perhaps, and again, AI crawlers, they're either fetching content perhaps for the training data, or they're fetching it live, like we just talked about with ChatGPT. It could be basically two versions here, and this is super interesting because we at Precis have just launched a service where we would do what we call LLM/AI optimization for websites. So we can offer that as a specific service now. And that's one of those things is we'll have to look into what's actually being generated by JavaScript. Is it important? Like structured data, for example. We've seen relations between AI overviews and structured data, right? And others might also use that. I would be suspicious if they didn't, because it's very smart. The problem is if it's being served by JavaScript, they'll never see it. So I'm thinking these AI crawlers are limited in resource and they're just crawling source code. And that's a really interesting note. So yeah, do you have anything on this besides what I brought up?
No, I think you're right. It gives like sort of an issue for sites that are mainly JavaScript and maybe JavaScript first instead of HTML first. And I'm not sure if it necessarily needs to be like a recommendation from our side because it is a case specific thing. But like HTML first, if you really want to make sure that you can be crawled by these AI crawlers, then you need to think about having, as you say, the structured data into the source code. Have to think about, and I think we have that in the next one as well, about client rendering and server side rendering and all of that. Yeah, no, I'm
He's
sorry.
segueing, guys. He's becoming really good at this hosting.
trying to.
Yeah.
Got the best picture here. Yeah, but I think it's interesting to see, and as you mentioned, like it's important for someone managing a website to see, okay, is it really important for the website that it needs to maybe be HTML, unless it's, for instance, filtering or something like that they need to have JavaScript in.
What do we want to show is the question. What do we want AI crawlers to see, and what do we don't care about? And something like, organization structured data, just like organization info, what you do, all your content that's informational, all this stuff, product info, reviews perhaps is important as well. So yeah, just it's a thought. And again, you don't need to worry too much about this if you're a site owner. You could just pay Precis Digital to do it for you. But yeah, the segue was good because so and this is we've got 3 JavaScript related ones here on top of each other. Google also shows how to confirm JavaScript indexing issues, right? And so it's a presentation, it's a video you can watch, and a spoiler, it's rarely JavaScript. So what they've been noticing is a lot of emails and around issues where people say, oh, it's a JavaScript issue, and it isn't. And again, I think it's related to, like, we used to have the cache tool, which we can't actually see anymore, which was sometimes it's blank, sometimes it's not. And if you don't understand exactly how those tools work, Google inspection tool with the screenshots as well, which is another one, that's a segue. All those tools are like misunderstood, I think. So it's hard to define if it's a JavaScript issue. So watch this if you've ever had this issue, if you're doing SEO at a high level. And again, the next one here, which is good, blank screenshot in Google Search Console URL inspection tool may just be fine. So you go into Search Console, type in the URL, and you test it live. You can then see in the inspection tool a screenshot and the HTML. That screenshot might be blank. Check your HTML as well. There could be some other issues going on here. And if it's the HTML is there, we see everything, the content we want Google to see, that's a good sign. So yeah, it's hard to debug some of these things. Again, you could also do one of those site searches, search for a phrase if you think it's hidden, and if Google has indexed the page where that phrase was from, that's a good sign Google can see it, right? So Google is quite good at rendering JavaScript now. They're quite confident in their JavaScript rendering as far as I see it. Next up, just a small little tool here, or a Looker Studio dashboard from Aleda Solis as well. Must follow, of course. And it's a ranking change, so it's specifically designed to pick up ranking changes quickly. When it comes to anyone of the clients at Precis Digital, we actually have a very large and capable dashboard coming out with using BigQuery automation. There's a bunch of things that are coming out this or next month. So again, this is mostly that. If you have a very specific case for your clients, Casper, for example, you could use this dashboard. Otherwise, this is for anyone not at Precis looking to have a smart dashboard here. Then we've got another important must-read. Yes, this one I love. This is a thing that I keep forgetting sometimes. We have a lot of bigger clients with bigger websites. Quality over quantity for Google indexing. And this is something I've bookmarked. This would be a great case for cleaning up websites with too many low quality pages. It's something we should always check for when we get these huge websites in. But also how we should be careful when creating a lot of programmatic pages, like just, let's create 10,000 pages. Well, let's make sure they're not low quality. Let's remove the low quality first if we have that. It's a case for both. And I know, Casper, you've been working with programmatic creation of pages.
Oh yeah.
So any comments here?
We've been testing, and I see a lot on maybe mostly LinkedIn, a lot of SEOs testing programmatic SEO at the moment, and really like highlighting the features of programmatic SEO due to AI and how you can create, like, as you say, 10,000s of pages, like so quick in comparison to how a copywriter would do it. But I think we need to be careful with it, to be honest. Like the testing of I'm not saying programmatic SEO isn't good necessarily. Like it can definitely be effective, but as I think we've mentioned in a video or two before, there still needs to be someone watching over it and make sure that the content is right. You still need to have the internal linking between it, reviewing of experts, especially if it's your money or your life pages, for instance. Like you really need to consider the use of programmatic SEO and how you use it. And I think we've highlighted before that programmatic SEO can be really effective for instance, for e-commerces, for product pages, for category pages, that sort of thing, where the content is a bit generic. But if you have to go deeper down into the content, I think you still need a copywriter to at least look at it, at least make sure that
if it's a programmatic page where you're just inserting things and it's even like almost duplicate, but is it useful? I think this is not to promote any website, but we always look at Trainline.com, right?
Trainline,
they have
exactly.
all these pages for different routes, and they're pretty much the same except the variables change, but they're useful. The variables are very useful for people, and Google, they rank really well. And so they can publish a ton of these pages, and there's low competition as well. So it's all about looking at the landscape. If you're trying to compete with high quality recipe websites, right? And you just want AI and let's publish 10,000 recipes. Well, look at the landscape. The competitors have really high quality. They've got their own pictures. You're just posting crap. That's hard. But Trainline's competition is just actually less. So you can start looking at it that way, I think. But yeah, it's a whole. I think it's something you really need to just be careful about when it comes to cleaning up or adding more. And I think that's a good case. This is just a really good case for it, is what I'm saying. So have a read.
And I like the example with Trainline. Now, we don't have to necessarily go down into that, but the reason I like the example with Trainline is that their programmatic pages have a lot of variables. So it's not duplicate content. They have a lot of different variables in there, and it's a train, like it's from a place to place. So you obviously have the start destination, end destination, but you also have the time, the price, everything in there. That's completely rewriting the content, and it's like the general setup is good. So I think for that sort of thing, it's like a little bit further down the funnel, right? For that sort of content, it's great. But if you are going informational, then I don't necessarily want to recommend programmatic SEO. No. I think there's cases for it, but you still need people to definitely be looking over it.
Yeah, if you're working at Trainline and watching this, highly unlikely. Just we want to hire you.
Kudos.
We want to hire you. We want the best there. They did a great job. Then finally here, the last piece of news for today is a guide. Piece of news is a guide on how to create a vector database for your website content and how to use it for SEO. Again, you can just read the guide, not going into detail. I think I've had a few other guides in previous videos or going through these concepts of using embeddings in SEO. There's a guide about that, I'm sure of. What's interesting is just to talk about the growing interest for using embeddings, and how Google, we know Google is using embeddings for certain things, but not all. It is dangerous still, I would say. But for some areas, and it seems Google is using it, and how can we use it to our advantage? And that's something I'll be following up on. I think this year, I think that's going to be a big topic within SEO, and we're going to try and test a few tools, and we are using embeddings for redirect mapping and all sorts of things, internal linking, automation. So yeah, they're definitely a growing field there. All right, that was it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. Again, Happy New Year. Let's make 2025 a great year for SEO. Let's hope. Depends a lot on Google, I think, in many
Yeah,
cases.
we're crossing fingers here.
Let's do it. And yeah, there will be in the video description, we'll have all of these nicely formatted with titles. There'll be links to all of these things as well. You can share these internally, whatever you need to. And please like and subscribe. I'll keep posting every Monday. Probably also start posting some awesome small tutorials on different SEO things on this channel as well. So, follow along and yeah, see you on the other side.